You have a great evening, Dick.
All right.
Thanks for playing, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
All right.
Cheers.
Tomorrow. Yep. Dive, guys and gals. Welcome and thank you for joining us for another episode of Talk Dive Live. Your home for scuba snacks. Yes, folks, that's the lowest fat kind of scuba snack there is, or snack there is, because we can't die. We'd like to talk to a very special panelist. We actually have three very special panelists from all over, I think, as a matter of fact, but they all have either worked or trained here at Rainbow Reef. We've got our very own Caitlin. We've got Caitlin on the line.
Hey, guys.
Hey there, Caitlin. And we've got Shayna is back.
Hey, guys.
Hey, I like your project awareness there.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
we've got our
match.
very own, yeah, we've got our very own project aware, the fishman himself, Jack.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. I'd like to take a couple minutes. First of all, thank you all for chiming in today. Please, like I said, go ahead, put your likes, put your thumbs up, put your okays, put your notes into the Facebook feed there. We want to hear from you. We'd like to say hello to everybody. We want to share some scuba snacks with you and just talk diving, because that's what people do when they're scuba divers, right? So let us know where you're calling in from, or where you're signing in from, and let us know about your favorite dives. But today, like I said, we're going to be talking about conservation and making sure that that water is the best place that we can go into and we can leave it the best possible. So I'd like to just take a few minutes and let each of our panelists introduce themselves and let us know who they are and what they do. Caitlin, why don't we start with you?
Hey, guys. My name's Caitlin McCall. So I started, I became an instructor at Rainbow Reef in September. And then I launched my own podcast and training website, which is called Eco-Conscious Diver. So I'm using my skills in marketing to teach people about being eco-conscious with diving and connecting listeners to scientists. So, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. Shayna, how about yourself?
Hi, guys. Again, I'm Shayna. I work at Rainbow Reef Dive Center as the conservation coordinator. I became an instructor here back in 2016, worked here for a little bit, and then recently returned because of all the incredible things that are going on in the conservation world in Key Largo. I'm really passionate about connecting divers to citizen science research opportunities and arming the recreational diving community to be the most impactful on the ocean as possible.
Wonderful. That's wonderful, Caitlin. Shayna. And we've got Jack here, too. Tell us about yourself.
Hey guys, Jack here. I actually became an instructor at Rainbow Reef back in 2012. And Shayna and I, together, we started the conservation programs at Rainbow Reef. So we were doing that for some time. And now I work at Project Aware as the Community Conservation Officer. And my role is to help dive centers like Rainbow Reef and really all over the world now help understand how to implement conservation training in their businesses, incorporate actions for conservation like dive against debris and shark conservation, and work with instructors and divers and dive centers to really help make conservation at the forefront of their business.
Wow, so we actually have three of our very own Rainbow Reef IDC alumnus that have gone into their passion of not only scuba diving, but conservational diving to make it a better place. Well, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. So first, let's talk about some things that we can do, some specialties, some dives type of things that we can do. Shayna, why don't we start with you and talk a little bit about maybe the dive against debris specialty?
Absolutely. So I actually was introduced to the Dive Against Debris specialty here at Rainbow Reef. We offer this specialty once a month, and we do a big group dive against debris trip. And it's just what it sounds like. It is picking up trash underwater. The specialty itself is actually created by Project Aware, and it is super informative. It teaches you how to safely pick up trash, what trash you should or should not pick up underwater, and then also teaches you about the whole issue of trash underwater and plastic pollution in general. I am a huge fan of this specialty, and it actually causes you to have a wider view of the ocean ecosystem every time you dive.
Wow, that's wonderful. So probably things like peak performance buoyancy and even talking about certain types of gear might be helpful during the dive against debris. Right.
Because you're down there untangling fishing line and sometimes using lift bags to pick up heavy things. Jack and I once went on a dive against spree. We found 7 anchors. So you need to be on top of your buoyancy to make sure that you don't disturb the ecosystem as you're trying to do good.
Wow, that's incredible. 7 anchors. That there must be at least 7 boats out there that just don't know where they're going. Caitlin, tell us a little something. What kinds of conservationally minded activities do you participate in, or try and get your students to participate in, or even talk about on your podcasts? I think Caitlin has gone to a black screen. You know what? She's doing a night dive right now, which is really cool. That's another kind of a specialty that we can talk about. So in the meantime, while we wait for Caitlin to shed some light on herself, by the way, I'd like to say hi to Vance. Let's ask Mr. Fishman himself, what types of things are Project Aware doing about the data capturing that we're actually getting from the dive against debris?
Absolutely. And thanks so much, Ross and Shayna. Those are really some of the best memories, right? Going diving and actually tackling some of these issues head on, but ones that were actually challenging with these anchors. And the entire purpose of not only doing the action that you guys can do as divers with removing that debris, which I think it's safe to say that very few of you guys have been on dives and probably not removed the debris that you saw, or at least we should have a talk afterwards if there's someone leaving trash on the reef. But that aside, the important part of Project Aware's programs is to not only encourage the training of removing that debris, but tracking it as well. And that's something we do with our global marine debris reporting database. And just like a dive log, like you guys might or may not do on your dives, the Dive Against Debris app through Project Aware is how we track that to make every dive a survey dive. And as we're doing things like that, that data will help us collect a better picture of where this debris problems are starting, where they're going, and what events might make them the most intriguing over time. For example, we knew back at Rainbow Reef that we could count on finding a good bit of debris right on the edge of the sanctuary where the fishermen might be, especially because that's where they're allowed to fish. Or even after the 4th of July festivities, because we know Floridians like to spend their time on the water. But that kind of information with that database and understanding trends that us humans do helps us get a better picture of where we might find that debris in the first place and how we can be smart and use our time wisely and remove it safely, of course.
Wow, that's remarkable. Jack, can you tell me how many pieces of debris has Project Aware tracked thus far?
Absolutely. The cool thing about this program is it's all done by you guys, by you divers, by you ocean enthusiasts. It's not like we have teams of people that are professionally paid to do this. It's all through citizen scientists and recreational divers alike. There's no differentiation between. And the amazing part is since 2011 in the starting of this program, we got 1 million pieces of debris. But the cool thing is 1 million came from 2011 until 2018. And that's quite a bit of time, you might ask. But since 2018, we've recovered almost 75% more. So as of now, with, of course, the current trends factored in, we've removed 1.7 million pieces of trash. So you can see how this is catching on, and it's accelerating intensely since more people are getting involved and want to help their environment.
Wow, that's absolutely remarkable. And the Dive Against Debris teaches you how to do it safely, properly, and track it because it sounds like the data is one of the most important aspects of it. Now, Diving Against Debris isn't just about the dive, it's about knowing what you could and should remove. For instance, if you've got a bottle underwater, most people think, oh, we should take it out of the water. But check inside. It could have become some critter's little home. So that's one of the things that's focused on during the Dive Against Debris specialty, and something that we need to focus on as divers as well. Something that I would like to ask every one of you out there is write something on our Facebook page of the oddest, strangest thing that you've found and removed from underwater. Go for it. You know you've got that story that you've told people at the bars before or told them on the liveaboard, but let us know. We want to share it with everybody. Um, I don't know if we've got a Caitlin back. If we do, we'd love to go to Caitlin and listen to talk to her a little bit about some of her podcasts. We don't, but let's move on to Shayna. Shayna, that's okay. This is the beauty of going live, folks. You just gotta float with the critters, right? Because you never know what's going to happen. For instance, one of the things that we found underwater are these tags because some of the people forget to cut the tags off their BCDs or their masks. Thank you very much, Mr. Fishman. Uh-oh. We've got all kinds of wacky, crazy things going on now. So just the tags, just being cognizant and thinking about cutting off all the tags before you go into the ocean, you need to do that. For instance, Aqualung used to put a disc, one of those silver things, into the pocket of all new BCDs in order to teach you. It was the user manual. Well, when we discovered that a lot of people were forgetting to remove that disc, we talked to Aqualung and we said, please stop doing that. And they did, and they made it available online. But meanwhile, Shayna, can you tell us, are there other specialties that Project Aware offers, and what may they be?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure Jack will have some input in this afterwards. Some of the specialties that Project Aware offers are shark awareness, and that is super informative about what are the issues that are going on shark species and populations right now, and how divers can either help them or actually learn more about their habitats underwater. That way, when they're diving, they know whether or not they're seeing something that is safe for a shark or if they're seeing something that's putting a shark in danger. A lot of people don't realize that even though sharks are, the top predators of the sea, they are in a lot of danger, and a lot of them are on the endangered species list. And a lot of that is due to things that we as humans are doing. And Project Aware does an amazing job of not only teaching skivers about what they can do, but also working with government and passing helping pass laws and helping pass standards for dive operators in order to help make better standards for diving with sharks and handling sharks in the wild in general. Probably has more to say about this.
The shark aware standpoint and how we learn and educate others about sharks, Project Aware works really hard to create standard practices and guidelines. In fact, we have our responsible shark and ray tourism guide, which we created alongside dive centers, shark enthusiasts, scientists, and more. And we have actually worked together to create for lack of a better word, a social distancing guide to sharks based on individual species. So those materials and more we could actually use to not only help the dive community and those interested in taking this Project Aware Shark specialty, as you really well explained, Shayna, but more than that, we can teach others just in our recreational dives and use this responsible shark and ray tourism guide as a really fun learning method to help educate ourselves about what we should do in proper interactions with these shark species we so love to see. Being live is just the best way to be.
It is. I think what Ross is probably going to say next, even though we can't hear him also
Yeah.
offers a project aware course. This is all about focusing on the 10 tips for divers and elaborating on how divers can have a positive impact on the ocean every time they go diving. And Rainbow Reef is actually going to be offering a project aware course online next week, 2 courses next week, and all the funds that we raise for that are either going to go towards your certification or towards Project Aware. So we're super happy to be partnering with Project Aware to offer you this incredibly important course and also raise money for an organization that we love so much.
And I know that the work that you, Shayna, are doing along with Ross and the Rainbow Reef team, I have to tell you, we at Project Aware, we're just so appreciative of the work you guys are doing, the training you're leading, the protection for animals, and organizing these just wonderful programs in Dive Against Debris like many other dive centers in the Florida Keys are. And Ross here is actually capable of sign language, believe it or not, folks. So I know that if it comes down to it, we will have some people tuning in who will be able to understand what Ross is saying. And I'm sure that we'll hear from him very soon. But yes, I mean, you guys are, we thank you so much for your support and in this an effort that we're all in to help educate. That's what we're here for.
We love supporting you guys, and we think it's super important during this time when everything's on hold that we can support the organizations that are still trying to, protect our ocean and protect the area that we love. And we super look forward to all the things that you guys are going to do in the future.
I think,
hear you, Ross.
I think if I may speak for Ross, just knowing you guys as well as we do, I think some fun things to talk about, especially for those tuning in, is to help tell more people, especially you, Shayna, I guess, well, very much you, Shayna, about some of your favorite experiences doing these Diving Against Debris. I think people would want to know why we enjoy it so much, what makes it something that we are passionate about, and maybe just some of the most fun experiences. I think you mentioned anchors and some odd, tell some stories. I think that's what people really want to hear.
Oh, absolutely. Ross asked everyone to talk about their most unique item they found underwater. Our most unique item we found, I used to work up in Tampa Bay with a marine conservation organization, and we did monthly Dive Against Debris. We once found a bicycle underwater. Shout out to Josh Keller for finding that bicycle. That's one of the weirdest things we found underwater. Have no idea how that could have happened. We also found, oh man, are you back? Nope, never mind. One time we found a scuba tank underwater, actually a small sort of tech diver tank that was lodged under a coral head and upturned and revealed after Hurricane Irma. You remember that dive, right, Jack?
Yes.
Remember that Hurricane Irma dive on French Reef?
Very much so, and that was an experience right there. And Shayna, what you should tell everyone after we encounter that tank.
Sorry.
Of course, we're live, so we're just gonna bear with these minor little delays here. But I think it would be nice to tell everyone what we did with that tank. As long as you can hear me,
yeah.
then we shall hand it to you.
We gave that tank, we donated that tank to the History of Diving Museum because it was older. I don't remember how old it was. I think it was from the 70s, and we had no idea where it came from. So we have the History of Diving Museum down here in Key Largo. It's a wonderful thing you can do. If you are coming diving with us, you can go learn about the history of diving and about how everything's changed over that time. And so we donated that tank to the History Diving Museum. And then I think on that dive as well, we found some mattress insides, if I'm correct.
It's one of those things where, I mean, especially after a hurricane, I think we were out there surveying the reefs, and you just can't predict what you're going to find when an environmental factor has created a new kind of bottom. And I think not only did we find mattress springs, that old tank job reporting to the History Museum, but we also encountered some actual artifacts that were uncovered by the reef. And it's important to note that when we contact the sanctuary about that, from a Dive Against Debris perspective, it actually wasn't debris. It was old, ship materials from vessels that had sunk in previous storms. I think when we recorded that hundreds of years ago, and the History of Diving Museum had joined us to help survey that information, because the reef was in such a state of change. We would never have a chance again, once it resettled, to see the artifacts ingrained in the substrate that we did. And I think that was one of the more amazing experiences of surveying these reefs, looking for debris, and then finding genuine historical artifacts on there.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to take a dive against debris course and learn what you should pick up, what you shouldn't pick up. If you have any questions about this, it's also wonderful that we can offer you guides every time you go diving on a dive against debris to help you answer any questions you might have about, should I pick this up? Should I leave it underwater? And that's Jack, do you have any stories about some incredible, I think it's just us now, about some of the incredible things you've seen dive centers do in the marine conservation world?
Yeah, I think it's just amazing to see what drives some people, both in the dive industry, whether you guys be in the clear waters of Florida, which I think we're all very jealous you might get to see at this time, especially us here in Cali. But I think the important bits to learn is that you can find people getting excited over many different aspects of this. We work with one of our supporters in actually Western Canada, on my side of the world, and he has done nearly 100 dive against debris dives with a technical team, a small dive technical team of himself. And he dives in places you would often never think to go underwater. These are places that are not necessarily quarries where you might expect people to dive, but recreational lakes with visibility that is quite poor, with the understanding that he is diving to help his community, knowing that there are parties there quite often. Although right now, certainly those might be on hold, but the debris certainly is still there. And his mission is to help this community understand where these hotspots of human activity are leading to the most debris found in low visibility, and still doing his part for the community. And I think following some of his efforts and just working with dive centers in Asia who are out there diving in streams and just understand where the source of the debris is to help us report it, there's a lot of different experiences and different things that drive people. And I think that's some of the most enjoyable ways of working with our dive community, to find different waterways that inspires everyone differently.
Absolutely. And I wish we could still hear Ross, but we can't. Oh, man.
Like I said, I know he knows sign language, so it's not out of the question. And he has a pen and a paper.
Hey, Jack, if I were interested in seeing what this man is finding underwater, or anybody around the world, how could I find the data that everyone is logging?
What a great question, Shayna. But in the very much simple sense of that, we have this dive against debris map, this action map that can be seen from a larger perspective, just right on our website under the Dive Against Debris resource page. And on that page, you can actually see nearly, if I'm not mistaken, all of our Dive Against Debris surveys submitted by citizen scientists and divers alike. So you can find the dives that we used to do in Rainbow Reef off the coast of Florida just by zooming into that location on a typical map. And also our friend Henry out there in Western Canada submitting the data from his lakes and local areas. So if you submit data in any aspect, both on our website and on the mobile app, it will populate itself on this map. So you can quickly see when you're traveling, or hopefully when we're all ready to go back into the world and go diving, if you wanted to know where people are doing the most cleanups, or there's areas that are being worked on from a project aware perspective, you can check out this action map on our website, and you can very much see where these dives are taking place and what, of course, has been recovered.
That's fantastic. What is your favorite project aware specialty, personally?
I think it's going to be an easy one for me. I really do like the dive against debris. And personally, as we used to work together at Rainbow Reef, just on that level is what kind of drove my passion to become the conservationist side of the diving, which did evolve. It's important to note that initially conservation was something I always cared about, but it wasn't necessarily that driving force until it really started to see how our actions could take such a serious effort and really show when we remove something, when we untangled fishing line off that coral. And you just spend the entire dive focusing on just one little thing. But because there's so much purpose in that small thing you're doing, you feel just so elated after this dive. You feel so accomplished that we really did something good, and it's so easy to see the difference, especially if you look at a before and after photo, or just the kind of work that we are doing and the passion that we share. I think on top of that, just being able to explore new areas of the reef in Florida really explored that passion even further. I remember some of my fondest memories of these dive against debris dives were just drifting with our groups, with our teams, and then discovering some of the healthiest reefs we've ever seen out of completely nowhere, where potentially we were thinking no divers had ever seen before because we weren't anywhere we could possibly know or that was accessible by mooring ball. This was just pure happenstance with the sole purpose of discovering stuff and debris that isn't supposed to be there. And I think some of the most beautiful memories and just actions were created off of the exploration and the excitement of this treasure hunt that we're all doing in the effort to remove debris underwater.
Absolutely. I mean, I think some of the most wonderful dives I've been on are our drift dive against debris dives. We did one, what was it, last month or 2 months ago before we all got shut down. And we did a wonderful drift on deep molasses. And then as we were bringing up our trash, we were actually greeted by a dolphin and her baby. And they came up and they said hi and they checked us all out. And it was something, you know, you wouldn't be in the open ocean interacting with these animals if you weren't out there cleaning the trash. It was really an incredible experience.
Now that's pretty amazing. I think what we all have to do, including Ross, who may be able to hear us, is I think we all owe the community justice to do our best dolphin dive sign. There he is. I still think we should do our best dolphin dive sign. All right, Shana, you're up.
This is mine. I feel like it might be pretty normal right now.
See, this is mine at first, and someone sees it, and I'm like, that's a more accurate representation.
I can tell Jack has been waiting all afternoon to do that for you.
Not gonna lie, may have.
I'm sorry that I've missed so much of this. I'm sure that you were in good hands with Shana and Jack. And I'm also sure, or at least I hope, that Shana talked about the Project Aware specialty that we've got coming up. I heard a little bit about what Jack's favorite Project Aware course is. I personally like the Project Aware specialty itself because anyone can take it. It doesn't matter whether you're a kid, a scuba diver, you know, anybody can take it. And we talk about our oceans because, of course, everything that's underwater is alive until you touch it. So we want to talk about why you don't touch it, different specialties that we can take so that you don't touch it, and then other specialties you can take, like the dive against debris, so that you can talk about the things that you see, because people drop things in the water sometimes. So sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to leave you with one of my stories, actually. I was doing my 60th dive. Yes, number 60. For those of you who know about the Dive Master course, that I was doing it because I needed to have that dive in there so I could be certified. It was in zero visibility. It was in some lake in Minnesota, of all places, and we bumped into something, and it turned out to be a car. Now, with 60 dives, I didn't try and take the car out, but we found that, and it was pretty cool. So please keep pouring in those ideas or those really cool things that you've seen underwater or pulled out from the underwater so that we can share them with everybody. Give us some hellos. Check into that Project Aware specialty that we're going to be doing on the 25th and the 29th. We've got a link for everybody that we're going to post on the Facebook page. And that's going to be able to go out to everyone. Like I said, yes, we are going to do it online, but it's going to be interactive. Hopefully it will be better than my connection was this time. So leave you with a couple scuba snacks. Shana, can you tell us, please, where is your favorite dive site, or what was your favorite dive most recently?
Ooh, aside from the dolphin, my favorite dive most recently was out on Banana Patch Reef. We went, for everyone who's been on Banana Patch Reef, we went off of the reef and then into a sand channel, and we found a reef shark, a huge reef shark, and 3 fevers of eagle rays. It was absolutely incredible. And that was actually the site where James Bond was filmed underwater. Fun fact.
Wow, cool. Another fun fact, you know that little scuba thing that he breathed on underwater? You know how long he could breathe on that? I'll tell you in my next episode. Jack, how about you? What is your favorite dive site here down in Key Largo?
I'm going to have to say with more certainty that it's going to be Winch Hole and Molasses Reef. It was the first dive site that I ever learned how to navigate solo as a professional dive master. And with that experience, some of my best memories to this day are leading night dives in and throughout Molasses Reef, constantly coming back to Winch Hole to just sit in that open patch, just to meditate, to slow down, let everything in the world fade away, and just watch the bioluminescence with other passionate divers that we got to enjoy with. And those are the memories I always treasure most. And that is what I always think of when it comes to the Florida Keys, my Molasses Reef blues, in a good way.
I love Molasses Reef. Yeah, and we'll talk about Mo maybe the next time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining us for your dose of scuba snacks. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but sometimes scuba snack stuff happens. Join us on the 25th or the 29th. We've got a limited space just because of the amount that we can do. But yes, we are going to be doing the Project Aware specialty. Yay! We'll be doing the Project Aware. Please leave us a note. Leave us a like. Leave us anything. Leave us wanting more. So we've got things to talk about and share with everybody. Also, we'll stay on to answer any other questions for about another 1, 2, or 3 minutes if we need. If people have some questions, if you've got some hellos you'd like to send out to. And
personally, as we use,
I went to use my phone to look at the live stream to see if I could answer any questions, and Jack started talking.
Oh, there you go. Well, we must be on that little time delay. Well, then I guess without any further ado or adon'ts, we will bid you adieu to you and you and you. And we'll hope to see you next time on Talk Dive Live. We miss diving, but we can always talk scuba snacks.
Right, guys. And again, if you're interested in the Project Aware course, please send us a message. We'll shoot you back a link so you can sign up for the course. You can find it on Diver Depot. Dive Gear Depot,
And you
my
can divegeardepot.com. Yes, you can actually send us a private message if you'd like for more information and for the link for the Project Aware specialty. And hopefully we'll be able to get back in the water so we can see what this quarantine has done to our pristine reef. Talk to you soon, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Ross.